Okay, Performance Sylvester is my name. Um, I'm a graphic design student, and this happens to be my portfolio as far as my industrial attachment is concerned. Okay, this portfolio talks about my assessment of reflection and industrial attachment. Okay, about me, that's about intent. As I've said it earlier on, I'm Paul Mensah Sylvester, a proud student of graphic design, final year student in the University of Education, Winneba. I embarked on an industrial attachment at the University of Education Printing Press here in Winneba. In the course of my attachment, I learned many things of which I knew nothing about, and also improved on the other things I knew already. At the press, I encountered problems, and solutions were also made to solve those problems accordingly. To a standard, I was assigned or introduced to almost all the departments or the sections there in the University of Education Printing Press every 2 weeks for new things to be learned. Explain how things went in the course of my attachment. I wanted to explain what is meant by an industrial attachment. Okay, industrial attachment is a student's industrial work experience course that serves to impart valuable practical experiences that prepare potential students for the workforce upon graduation. Now, below is a benefit of industrial attachment. Industrial attachment provides a real-life organizational background for students to build explicit or basic skills necessary to their specialized development. Okay, the following are the various sections or the departments, things I learned, problems encountered, and the solutions provided. The first day of my industrial attachment, I was assigned to jog sheets of papers. Why jogging of sheet of papers as my first experience? Because in everything you do in the course of printing, jogging had to be done to ensure sheets are well arranged and also to avoid jamming of sheets when printing. First day, the strategy of jogging was quite confusing, but I managed to get it right afterwards. I learned and improved on how to jog sheets of papers accurately and perfectly. So this is the jogging section. So as you can see, there's a strategy we used to jog, and um, I managed to get it right. Okay, now the next section or the department I was assigned to in the course of my industrial attachment was the printing section, where I printed A4 and A3 papers and also made photocopies of already printed sheets. The problem I encountered was jamming of sheet of papers when printing because the paper used to print was not the right choice to the Xerox printing machine. With this particular problem, the printing machine had to be paused and pull out the ink drum and pull all jammed papers by hand, which delays productivity. Printing was my most favorite section because I spent most of my time there and I learned almost everything governing that Xerox printing machine. Because of that, I improved on the skill of printing any size of paper and other printing as well without any challenges. Okay, so as you can see, this is also the printing section. So I was doing printing, or in other words, I was making photocopies of already printed sheets here. Okay, designing section was the next section I attended to during my attachment. At the design room, I was instructed to design a flyer for a renowned church, ICGC, Kumasi branch, for an upcoming event, door tags and other flyers. The software I used to get the work done was Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator, to be precise. The problem I encountered was using the Mac computer to design. I had problems using the computer because I'm not familiar with that Apple or that Mac, but instead Windows computer like HP, Samsung, Acer, and so forth. But I had no choice than to do my possible best. And lo and behold, the work or the design was perfectly done by the guidance of my mentor. Using the Mac computer is now okay for me to operate and operate even better. So these were the software I used to design or to get those designs done in the course of my attachment. So as you can see, I was designing the flyer for the renowned church for that upcoming event. Okay, so the designs I produced in the course of my attachment. So this happens to be the Destiny 9. That's the flyer. We have door tags or door labels. We have book covers or book cases. We have some uh, posters as well. Okay, cutting section was also the next section I attended to, where already finished books were cut and trimmed to the size preferred, and also printed sheets, chipboard, and other stuffs were cut to the size wanted using the polar cutting machine. In the course of cutting, the polar cutting machine was quite faulty and does not work as it might have. When cutting, the blade normally stops without prompting. Due to this problem, the machine needs some period of time to get back to work, which also reduces productivity, which enabled the press to run at a loss. I can boldly say cutting section was my second favorite section because I learned how to operate the cutting machine very well because I spent more of my time there to learn almost every single thing about that machine, and now I can cut every paper of a kind. Okay, as you can see, I was trimming finished books for delivery. Yeah, the books were turned or was turned upside down just to avoid slippery when cutting the other side. Okay, binding section. Binding section was also the next department or the next section I attended to. Collated and joined sheets were binded using the polar binding machine. Using the binding machine was quite interesting and stressing at the same time. Collated and joined sheets were binded in the perfect binding type because the polar binding machine is only meant for perfect binding. The problems I encountered in the course of binding was the binding glue normally sticks on the turning table, which stops the binded sheet from moving to the next part of binding. At this point, there is a need to stop the binding machine and resolve the problem by removing the stacked glue on the turning table with kerosene to enable binding sheet to move freely. This problem slows down productivity. With all these ups and downs, I learned and improved on how to bind books perfectly. So these are my pics or the pictures as far as binding is concerned. Now, joining. I was assigned to joining section afterwards, where printing sheets were joined accordingly with our hand or manually. Joining was not easy and was very stressing because everything was done manually, and also printed sheets mostly mixes up during joining of printing sheets, and sometimes mixes up from the collating side. Due to these issues, there is a need to go through all the collated sheets one after the other and search for the right page or sheet and join, which is very stressing and time wasting. Although joining was my board section, but at the end of it all, I learned how to join collated sheets accordingly. Okay, as you can see, um, the book or the sheet at the back of me happens to be the joined sheets we did. Now, packaging section or parceling section. The final section I was assigned to before leaving the industry was packaging or parceling section. At the packaging section, I arranged the finished books in a certain number and packaged nicely with a brown paper or box, and with that book's name neatly written on the parcel or the package for delivery. The problem encountered was sometimes in the course of packaging, the paper we used to parcel tears apart, which often disorganized the nicely arranged books. With this problem, solutions were made by using different brown paper or fresh box and rearrange the disorganized books again and seal it for delivery. I learned new strategy on how to package books because it was quite easy to do so. So I was or I was behind uh, already packaged or parceled books which was ready for delivery. Now appreciation. In a nutshell, I will say a very big thank you to the UW graphic design department and also to the UW printing press for making my industrial attachment a very successful one. Thank you.